You can ask that question of a lot of the people in the cast shirts, though. Like, I'm always scared of Grant Millington. I'm always scared of Mike McMeekin and Oliver Holmes. I think that they really offer threats. I wasn't scared of them in this game. I didn't feel like, even if they did make an inroad, I didn't feel like the offload was there or the supporting runner was there. I, yeah, it just they didn't scare me. I felt Wigan were in control throughout. Normally, when it's like this sort of game, and even I kept telling myself as well, like, but Cass have scored like 3 tries in 5 minutes loads of times in the last year and a half, 2 years. So surely we can't write them off. But then it never felt like it was going to happen. It felt like Wigan had ultimate control of this game and ultimate control of their emotions when they had every reason to be very emotional. Ultimate control of their emotions in the game, and I really hope this bodes well for next week, because you know, there was a time before where we went into a grand final and lost our emotions very quickly, and if we can keep our emotions, this group is special.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, the Wigan side showed to me consistently just by the defensive and the fact that defending as a team just consistently, and it was just almost to the point of being boring that they were that good. That they just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. One thing I did find quite funny was how could you see for the first 5 minutes? Because the amount of smoke on that pitch, I was sort of. I could barely see off the cameras.
It
so
seemed,
I don't know
seemed actually worse on the TV
than
I expected it to, because I was obviously the opposite side. I don't know why I'm saying obviously, like everyone knows where I sit. I've probably brought it up enough times that everyone does, but I sit opposite the TV, the stand where the cameras are, and I felt like it was pretty bad for us to the end near the Cast fans, and credit to the Cast fans. About 20 minutes before kick-off, I was like, they haven't sold £4,500, £4,500 tickets. They're lying as much as Wigan were lying when they told us they'd sold 12,000 tickets. But then by kick-off, or by 5 minutes after kick-off, they'd all made it in. They'd all battled across that M62. Absolute credit to them. Credit to the Wigan fans that were there as well, because they were noisy. Just where the fuck were the rest? But we'll talk about that in a minute.
You're dying. That's 4 times you mentioned it.
There's a rant coming. Yeah, I could see, but I thought, like, what I couldn't see when I was live, then when I watched it back on TV, it was like the opposite stuff couldn't be seen. It was really weird, like the where the smoke's at. But it didn't detract from anything for me, and the first 10 minutes wasn't great from either side. In fact, it probably was the only time that Cass looked threatening. Matautia had a couple of runs. It was the only time they looked threatening until, well, only time really, because by the time that they threatened later on, I felt like we knew what we were doing to cover it. I thought the only Wigan player who let himself down a little bit was Ryan Sutton. I'm glad he got that game out of the way. I feel like he's got that game out of the way now, so he can have a stonking grand final. I might even put a cheeky bet on him getting man of the match or something, because I feel it's going to be a physical effort that's going to get us man of the match next week. But I just thought Wigan did their job and Castleford didn't do their job. Ben Roberts is kicking. I mean, we were critical of some of the Saints players not really stepping up to the mark. Ben Roberts, I know he hasn't played in the halves a lot this year, and he was kind of pushed in with Jake Truman's injury, which is very unfortunate for Cass, because I think if Truman was there, he would have offered a bit of a better foil when Luke Gale clearly wasn't at the races, because Truman, I don't think, would have lost his shit like Gale did. But Ben Roberts' kicking game was absolutely atrocious.
I mean, I didn't really notice it, but I'm trying to think of any attacking kick he put in.
There was about 3 attacking kicks he put in where he barely he barely hit it. It was so bad a miss that he barely hit it, and every time it just went neatly to a well-positioned Wigan defender, be it the full-back or covering half, covering back row or whatever. It was this Wigan defence, someone was covering, and someone was well-positioned. But I loved it. I was buzzing. I'm still buzzing now. It's one of those nights where I still keep thinking to, like, bits that happened. George Williams' break down the touchline, and I know we didn't convert it into a try or anything, but the field position it gave, just absolutely loved that.
Tommy Lulu, I've written down, was fantastic from the whole game.
Yeah,
He just looked
he
really
was forced
good.
off for a short spell, about five minutes before the end. They gave Morgan Esquire a run out, but Lulu was playing injured as well. So, we need to credit him for that. He was definitely playing injured.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think there's a couple of players who there's more to come from as well next week. Sutton and Greenwood being the two standout names there. I think Castleford. That one thing Castleford did do well is they picked Wigan's left edge plays pretty well throughout most of the game. So well done to them for that. But yeah, errors, penalties. I mean, the stats will draw that out. So let's do them. Wigan were better on the error count, 12-15, and the penalty count, 4-9. They had 2% better team tackle success rate. Cass were below 90%, and Wigan made 3 more clean breaks. So Wigan were kind of better across the board. Quite simply. Loved it. Right. Individually, Liam Farrell, 120 metres. John Bateman, 8 tackles, 140 metres, 3 clean breaks. Do I mean 3 clean breaks? I think I mean 3 offloads. 3 successful offloads is probably what I meant. Yep, I did. Sam Powell, 1 try assist, 41 tackles. George Williams, 11 tackles, 120 metres. For Castleford, Peter Matautia was game. He didn't do anything that killed Wigan, but he was game.
He wasn't sharp, but he was.
Yeah.
He was a decent force.
5 tackles to 166 metres, 4 successful offloads. I'd say he was probably the best of the bunch for Cass. Liam Watts, 50 tackles, 16 marker tackles, 124 metres. Paul McShane, 57 tackles, 15 of which were marker tackles, underlining why he was the hit man this year. Greg Eden, 5 tackles and 119 metres. All right, the qualifiers £1 million game, Tim.
Yes, what a game it was. One
final game to speak about. And before we get into the action, I'm going to talk about attendances. So it was Toronto 2, London 4 after being 2-0 to London at half-time. A tryless game. I can't remember seeing too many of them in my time. 9,266 were in attendance. Chris Kendall was the referee. That means that a club that have been in existence 2 years were effectively...
And not even 2 years if you think of when their first home game was May.
Yep. Were effectively able to generate, however they might have done it, giving season ticket holders free tickets to give to their friends, or however they did it, either which way, they were able to generate the same amount of fans going through those gates as Wigan and St Helens were able to generate of their own fans, because Warrington brought numbers.
You mean Wigan, the best supported club in the world?
Well, they're not. Oh wait, I was a meeting with some people from the club before the game, something I'm involved in with the fan engagement side of things, and when they told me that they were expecting that between 12,500 and 13,000 on, and I said, what? And is that with including Castleford selling 4,300? And they said, yeah. I said, that's making me embarrassed, like we're a joke of a club, and I got told off for that. To be honest, but I'm going to be upfront about it. I got told off for it, and I stand by it to an extent. I don't mean the club itself necessarily, because I don't really know. I don't know what the club did around the town. I don't know what St Helens did around the town for games that they had 3 weeks to sell. Let's not forget, or at least 2 full weeks to sell. I don't know what they were. I don't know what they did around the town because I don't live around the towns, but I know for sure that Wigan in particular were hitting fans with email reminders every day, if not once, if not more than once.
I'm on a Wigan fan list because I bought those tickets to go down to Millwall all that time ago, and my inbox has been full of it. So they're obviously targeting people who've bought 1 ticket ever.
Well, I'm on a St Helens distribution list as well, and they didn't get in touch with me as much as... Anyway, I don't even remember getting one. Maybe I got 1 or 2 from Saints, but I got loads from Wigan, plus the social media campaign that they were running to drive up sales and that sort of thing. So I'm not necessarily criticising the club themselves, and I did make this clear to the staff of the club when I said it. But the whole piece
that work you've just done for the last 2 weeks, it was shit.
But why are these 2 established clubs in home games that they have?
Not just established clubs. Let's
top clubs.
Top tier clubs. If you had to save 3 clubs from the waves, that'd be the first 2 you'd take.
Why are we not able to sell more than 9,000 tickets? Yet Toronto can get 9,000 people interested in a sport that they apparently, according to some people, have no clue about, don't give a shit about. No point them being there because no one.
And on a Friday night as well, which is supposedly the time that everybody loves.
Well, Wigan's home night. It's been Wigan's home night now for 15 years, and during that 15 years, we've averaged 5 figures every single season, even if it's declined quite a bit this season. So I credit to Toronto, even though they had to run it on a obviously loss-making basis, but we've got to fix something because something's severely broken. And I know there'll be a lot of fans who are sat at home watching those games on television,
you say
fucking within miles of the stadium.
You say loss-making, but how many of those golden hats did they sell? They had hats with the Wolfpack fingers being golden.
Oh, and they had some with the they had like lots of them. Well, they've really bigged up merchandise as well. I saw
exactly. If they sold
white Toronto Wolfpack caps as well.
Those at $30 each. That's your ticket price made back. Thank you very much.
But I just.
But that's kind of my point.
Reasons, but I think if the reason is I was waiting for next week, well, what if next week never came? Thankfully, at both grounds, both sets of home fans that did turn up and the away fans that were 50% a third of the crowd at both nights, were able to create an atmosphere that was fantastic and exhilarating. And the Wigan fans were there, were as loud as we were when we've had packed stadiums. So every single one of the 9,000 or so Wigan fans were there. I absolutely love you all. Everyone that wasn't. I mean, I know some of people. My best mate who comes and watches it with me, who normally sits next to me, he couldn't go because he was on a family holiday that is arranged every year for the same weekend. And if it was on the Thursday, he could have come, but the Friday he couldn't come. So people have got legitimate reasons, but there must be a few thousand people who didn't have legitimate reasons. And
equally, what point in the season
I care
do you
too
think?
Much, maybe I just get upset.
At what point in the season do you genuinely know that you're in playoff contention? I mean, Wigan and Saints, you generally, they pretty much knew they were going to be there. What?
Yeah.
June?
I don't know what the answer is.
They knew that they would have a game on either the Thursday or the Friday. So you keep that free. You think, well, I'm going to have a playoff game there or then. Let's keep that free. So if that was the excuse, sorry.
Do we give tickets away? A ticket's too expensive. It's 17 quid for a season ticket holder. Too expensive. 22 quid for a non-season ticket. Are they too expensive prices when they've got to pay for a grand final next week? That's the only reason. Have they done it? Because I don't spend my money on this because I'll spend it next week. And with Wigan and St Helens, they carry the assumption they're going to win semi-finals, even though St Helens never do. Have they tried doing the thing? I'm sure someone's done this before, where they had the home semi and said, well, you could buy both for a discounted. You could buy this week and next week for a discounted ticket, and we'll give you, 15 quid back or whatever if we don't make it next. You wouldn't want to do that to seem presumptuous, though, would you? If that got out, that'd kill you.
Is it clever marketing?
It just upsets me that we can't get more people going. I know money is tight. I know times are hard, and I know that jobs are now a fucking bollock. Like, you have to go all over the fucking country to earn fucking pittance to the man and all this. And I know it's hard, but I mean, it just upsets me. Mark rant over. Let's talk about the £1 million game, because that didn't upset me.
It's a shame though, and it's something for Robert Elston in particular to look at. How are our supposedly teams with the best marketing teams and the best sales team, there's best sales team on a regular basis, how are they not able to fill their stadiums for a playoff game?
Like I say about the Wigan club, I know they tried. I don't know if they tried the right things. I don't know if we have to try new things. That's kind of part of the reason why I was there, really, anyway. But we shall see. £1 million game. Let's get the fan views in anyway.
Yeah, so it was Toronto 2, London 4. Ben_Paulden. One of the weirdest games of rugby league I've watched, complete with a football scoreline. Great defence from both sides, but some outstanding moments from the Broncos showed just how much they wanted it. Looking forward to seeing London in Super League next year. Will be interesting to see what happens to Toronto next year.
Paul Chamberlain just said, He was obviously speechless.
Good, fair enough. Which is quite some achievement for Paul. This
is Paul Chamberlain, not Paul Campbell.
Oh, okay. No, but Paul Chamberlain generally has a lot to say that's very good.
He does in his match reviews. That's a fair point.
To make him speechless in a match review is quite an achievement. Anyway, Joshua's granddad said, "What a way to finish the weekend! Bloody excellent defence, takes the spoils for London. Walker superb under high kicks. The Grubs got what they deserved."
Tom Andrews at Tom_HKR said, "What a result! I'm all for expansion, but prefer it to be done from building internally, not recruiting the biggest cast-off bellends from around the world."